But mimi nitachangisha Wakenya, kila Mkenya akinitumia 10 bob 10 bob, 1,200, 100, 500. I believe I'll be able to beef up my security and it will be well.
Is Morara Kebaso losing his grip on the Kenyans who once trusted him? For hours now, the self-proclaimed civic educator has been dodging dangerous arrows aimed directly at his political career on Twitter.
Morara now is becoming greedy. Mumemfundisha sasa. I've told you Kenyans with money 5 and 6. Hii kitu ya ku-expose, hata akifungua podcast ya ku-expose. What wame-expose for how long?
It is a battlefield where one wrong step could mean total ruin, and Morara seems to be stepping on every landmine. From trading insults with the notorious Miguna, an exchange that left social media buzzing, to penning a letter to Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, begging for a chance for the Deputy President to join him in his political banters against the government. Now Morara's antics don't stop there. In an unexpected twist, he crowned himself as the president of the Gen Zs, sparking waves of confusion and disbelief, especially when the Gen Zs claim they do not have any leader. Now, this sudden erratic behavior has left many Kenyans scratching their heads, questioning whether the man they once looked to for civic guidance can still be trusted to stand up against the injustices plaguing the nation.
Kenyans do not want to vote for Okiya Omtatah, even though he has the consistency. Okiya Omtatah should actually be on our...
Be the face of the Gen Z.
Should be... Yes, he is not a Gen Z. We cannot say he is the face of the Gen Zs. But Morara is also not a Gen Z. He is 29. So he is not in the age bracket of Gen Zs. He cannot pretend to be a Gen Z. He cannot call himself a president of the Gen Z. So, if we are to be honest, we have guys like Okiya Omtatah who've stood for what is right for so many years, who've used their own resources. Morara is now fundraising everywhere.
But here's where things get even murkier. How genuine is Morara Kebaso really? Now, the key to this puzzle lies with one person, James Mulamba, a young student and an activist who has crossed paths with Morara Kebaso one too many times. Now, Mulamba's revelations might just blow the lid off the story you think you know. His insights into Morara's true nature could leave you with your jaw hanging, wondering if the civic educator has been playing a far more cunning game than anyone imagined.
Hashtag trended for the whole day, kuanzia asubuhi 10 am to around 5 pm. Ukitaka unaweza ingia saa hii on X, search for injustice in KU, hashtag injustice in KU, it will pop up. You will get my details there. My national ID, my school ID, and my rants and my tweets with the rest of the country on why KU had scam and sham elections. And I managed to convince a group of friends, a group of comrades, both from the university. I was also in Kenyatta University, but in Kitui campus. Kitui campus comrades, hi. I managed to convince comrades and guys who had good influence on X back then to back me up, so that we could float an hashtag about the injustices in KU, especially regarding the elections, the student elections that were supposed to be held that year. And my issue was KU had issued a deadline for submission of the signatures. You are supposed to submit some signatures to show that students have endorsed you. And you're also supposed to submit transcripts of your academic portfolio. And you're also supposed to submit a fee statement.
Now, just a quick one. Where does Morara come to in this whole scenario? Because he has been there.
I'm getting you there. I'm getting to that.
Because time is out, it's not on our side.
I get it. So we mobilized the entire country and spotlighted the issue of the injustices in KU. And I'm sure it's possible that at that time Morara also jumped on that hashtag without knowing the source. And so many other Kenyans who had issues with Kenyatta University jumped on it. And the school summoned me to the Senate to hear my case on why I had a problem with KU and on the injustice I was talking about in KU. And I have been consistent since then and before then as an activist. So it is not a one-time thing. It is not a one-time factor. You do not show up to cameras today because as Morara you feel your rights have been violated because you wanted to become the president of the Kenyatta University Students Association, but then go underwater when we are fighting the presidency of Uhuru Kenyatta, go underwater when we are decampaigning William Ruto. In fact, Morara campaigned for William Ruto. He knew William Ruto was tribal. He knew William Ruto was corrupt. He knew William Ruto was inept. He knew William Ruto was incompetent, but he still campaigned for him. In fact, he even launched projects with William Ruto atop government vehicles. And today he pretends that he hates William Ruto, the guy he campaigned for. Today he pretends he hates William Ruto, the guy he possibly did government tenders with. Today he pretends he hates William Ruto, the man he dined on the same table with. Don't you see that as political gimmicks? Don't you see that as a play?
Okay, perhaps he has come to the realization, just like other Kenyans who voted for Ruto and found out that this is not the person we thought he is.
Brother, plug. These current activists we have, some of them are clout chasers, some of them are wannabes, and some of them just want to be seen. They have no spine and consistency whatsoever. And that should be one of the measures and the yardstick of activism. You cannot be a renowned activist without a spine. I mean, activism is backed by consistency. You cannot now say this guy is bad and the next moment say this guy is good. You cannot tell us Ruto is good when you're getting possibly government tenders and government positions for your friends, but then when things do not work to your favor, or when the entire country and the entire Gen Z population decides Ruto is not the guy we should be having as president, you pretend now you also support the Gen Zs. You pretend you are their face, their president, and you pretend you understand more than them that Ruto is bad. If you understood that, you would never have told us to vote for Ruto. A leader has insight, and integrity. A leader who has insight and integrity would never have pushed us to vote for Ruto. You cannot say Ruto is good today and bad tomorrow. As a leader, you need to be consistent. If you are consistent with lies, be consistent to the end. You cannot deceive us because you are gaining anything from this government. But when you think and you see the entire country has revolted against your president, you now want to pretend that you hate him. And this cuts across to almost all Gen Zs who voted for Ruto. I am unapologetic by saying this. You are the reason why we have Ruto as president today. You are the reason why you have this guy as president. You gave to us this monster. It is good that you are helping us fight this monster, but you cannot pretend and purport to speak on our behalf. For Morara to say he wants to become president and he needs the backing of Gen Zs is inconsistent. It is an abuse to our collective intellectual abilities because we are not foolish. We've been here on the streets for close to 10 years. We've fought for good governance. We've refused government offers and tenders. Myself, I've been offered so many things by government officials, by MPs, by senators. I have always said no. I do not have a big name, yes, but I'm good at campaigning. I am good with consistency. My integrity is intact. I have said no to some of these things. There are those that wanted to take me to school. I said no. There are those that wanted to give me government jobs. I said no. There are those that wanted to give me government tenders. I said no. I have refused to be bribed. I have refused to bribe my way into power. I have refused to be misused by politicians because I understood that they use youths and then dump you when they no longer need you, and it is possible they dumped Morara when they no longer needed him and he's bitter with them. It is very possible he's also their guy. It is possible he's their project, just like possibly Wajakoya was Raila's project. And I'm saying this with a lot of bitterness because I'm seeing us celebrate the wrong guys. We have activists who've been out here in these streets telling you the right and being consistent and showing you the light and showing you the way forward and what to do as a country, who to vote for and what to stand for better governance, to stand for integrity, to stand for autocracy, to stand for meritocracy, and you chose not to listen to them. You chose not to give them audience. We give audience to clout chasers and to clowns who probably appear on top by being better at chasing fame, being better at chasing popularity. And that is the same thing you are asking me, why Kenyans not want to vote for intellectuals and professionals like Kivutha Kibwana, like Mukisa Kitui, like James Orengo. They want clowns.
What about Okiya Mutata?
Kenyans do not want to vote for Okiya Mutata, even though he has the consistency. Okiya Mutata should actually be on our...
Be the face of the Gen Z.
Should be... Yes, he is not a Gen Z. We cannot say he is the face of the Gen Zs. But Morara is also not a Gen Z. He is 29. So he is not in the age bracket of Gen Zs. He cannot pretend to be a Gen Z. He cannot call himself a president of the Gen Z. So if we are to be honest, we have guys like Okiya Mutata who've stood for what is right for so many years, who've used their own resources. Morara is now fundraising everywhere. Mutata has used his own resources to take the government to court with petitions after petitions, cases after cases. He's won some and lost some. He's been bribed humongous amounts of money, and he said no to this because he stood for what is right. His integrity is intact, like that of David Maraga. And for sure, if there's a guy we need to have as the chairperson of the IBC, it is David Maraga. But Kenyans do not want these guys. They want the clowns, the cloud chasers. See how they helped Casmuel because he was good with big English and because he wore three-piece suits. I mean, he had no substance. He had no spine as an activist. And he did not have the consistency that we need in activism. These are activists who've come into the limelight this year. And if you go through their X accounts, they have deleted their past history. I am telling you, Plug, I took my time to go through Morara's history. He's deleted almost his posts on social media, both on Facebook and on X. I want him to come to Kenyans and say I am lying. I want him to prove me wrong on this. They have deleted their past history on who they were supporting before, on the kind of tweets and posts they were putting before, because they were inconsistent with what we have today. They supported tribalism. They supported corruption. And on Casmuel's side, he had a good audience on TikTok to push the narrative for better governance, for more accountability, but he chose not to. He chose to talk about mental health issues. He chose to talk about lifestyle issues. He chose to address other issues, but not governance. He had the audience to talk about Ruto and to campaign Ruto for the entire period from 2017 to 2022. He chose not to because possibly he was never an activist. How now a 3-month-old activist overshadows activists like Okiya Mutata who've been here telling us that this country is run badly, exposing the government left, right, and center. But now you consuming the vampire diaries Morara is giving you, is showing you every other day a 1-month-old activist, and you've forgotten guys like Okiya Mutata and the rest of us who've been here telling you we have a bad president who is Uhuru Kenyatta. We fought Uhuru Kenyatta to his last days in 2022. Who've told you that Ruto was not a guy you should have voted for, who campaigned Ruto for close to 4 years, and decide to listen to guys who've come the other day giving you this and other story, but you do not do your due diligence on their backgrounds before this. You cannot support Ruto in 2021, 2022, 2023. Then in 2024, you magically realize Ruto is bad just because the entire country has moved on from Ruto and the entire country is calling out Ruto for being a bad president. It is inconsistent. It is insincere. It is dishonest. And in fact, it is a behavior that is capitalistic. It's predation. You preying on the efforts of other activists who've really built the activism brand for some time, for close to 10 years. There are activists who are in the Gen Z bracket who've been very vocal on how government is run bad, and you come and overshadow all of them because you clout better. And Kenyans do not want to differentiate clout from real activism. When you call out clout from celebrities, do not forget to call out clout from activists. Mtu asitoke na huko amepata watu wakipigania better governance, ajifanye leo ndio anajua kushout better than the rest, ndio anajua kushadow the rest, na watu wamekuwa hapa wakipigania serikali bora. Yeye alikuwa huko anakula na hiyo serikali. Wakati walikuwa wanacheka pamoja, serikali ilikuwa mzuri, lakini wakati tumesema serikali ni mbaya and we've really moved the entire country towards better governance, ndio unatokea leo kusema serikali ni mbaya, expose this, expose that. Hiyo ni ubinafsi, hiyo ni unafiki, na ni maneno tunafaa kukataa kama Gen Z, na ni mambo tunafaa tufungue macho tuone mbele. Na mtu kama Kasmuel mwenye alikuwa na audience ya kuambia watu Ruto is bad asipigiwe kura, mtu alikuwa na audience ya kusema Uhuru is bad ametuibia hapa na hapa na hapa, hafai kutuambia kitu leo hii. With my small audience I was telling Kenyans as it is, learning from the best, learning from akina Omtata, and there are so many activists who are as consistent as me who are probably demoralized because you decided to worship akina Kasmuel and Morara for telling you nothing. By the way, Masita Rus leo angekuwa Finland kama hiyo scandal ya Uasin Gishu hainge happen. She's another activist mwenye ametokea just from nowhere. I am not watering down what she's been able to achieve, but I'm saying she would possibly not be in this country. She was not born for this. You have to be born for activism. It does not magically appear from nowhere. And it is possible that if Morara's rights were not violated in the students elections za KU, angewahi kuwa amungewahi muona atika video fulani akifanya activism ya student leadership na huko nyuma. If his rights were not violated and he was not ambitious to vie for the student leadership, possibly amungeona hiyo activism yenye mnaona sahi. Huwezi kuwa consistently fighting bad stuff in an institution as he claims he was fighting the KU institution as I was, alafu kidogo hapa kwa government is why you draw the line. An activist is an activist kila mahali kwa female issues mimi niko hapo nikiinject, mahali kwa FGM nilikuwa hapo, mahali kwa kusema katiba bora nilikuwa hapo, Kenya iko better okoa Kenya nilikuwa hapo, punguza mzigo ya ukuru wa ukota I supported it, I tweeted about it, I was to public participations za punguza mizigo, I was there. I have been to public participations za pesa vile zinatumika kwa county governments na kwa national governments. How many of the youth we have today can tell you and can without lying honestly that they have been to public participations za county governments na za national governments? How many of them? Most of them public participation wameenda ya kwanza ni ya Bomas. Hii juzi yenye unfortunately they threw chairs at Morara. By the way, they didn't, that was actually not a good thing. I do not support that. I condemn that with the strongest terms. We cannot take that route. We cannot have a few politicians demonizing activists. Kama whether umekuja jana kama activist, whether you are honest or dishonest, wewe bado ni activist, na you should not go through that. At the same breath, I don't think what happened to Bruce John, the Mombasa blogger, was a good thing. I condemn that heinous act. It was improper. It was, I mean, by all names, by all words, it was immature. It was unlawful. It was a violation of his rights, and I would want to see the culprits taken to court and jailed for that. We cannot have activists bullied, victimized, brutalized, beaten, clobbered, and even sodomized for being vocal against bad governance, whether at the county level or at the national government level. We cannot have that. But as Gen Z going forward, we need to vet people. We need to have a serious yardstick for activism, and I'm proposing we need to do our due diligence on these activists, and our yardstick should be about their consistency. You cannot be inconsistent, and you cannot be inconsistent and get into mainstream activism na Wakenya wakukubali as an activist. Hapo nao kama Wakenya tutakuwa tumepotea.
Were it not for the Gen Z, how wangekuwa wanajulikana labda?
Kama hatungekuwa na demonstrations za 2024 za Gen Zs, possibly amungewahi jua Morara. Si alitisha UMCA hapa Kawendani 2022, wakamwangusha. I'm not saying wati walifanya poa. By the way, I support young people in politics. Myself, as a young person in politics, I would want young people to become presidents, MPs, and senators in this country. I am just too vigilant and too open-minded to see political games and cloud chasing from afar. Vile niliona cloud chasing ya Kasmuel na uko ikiwa Moyale, na nikawaambia, na Wakenya hawakunisikia. Mimi Mimi kwa street Kasmuel ameninyima microphone. Hiyo yenye alikuwa anashika kuongea nayo. I was too broke plug to afford that thing. I'm still broke, but I was too broke to afford that thing. When I started going to the streets in 2023, mimi sikuwa hata na simu. Some folks had broken into my house, stolen my laptop, my 2 phones and some cash I had. I was too broke to afford a phone. Hata sasa ningekidnapiwa, singepigia mtu yote kumwambia oya wamenichukua. Because I had this in my heart. I just wanted to do it. Because I've been on the streets in 2017 and in 2023. Ni kitu niko nayo. I'm saying that activism needs consistency. That should be our first yardstick. Huwezi toka from nowhere. Sio kitu yenye inachipuka from nowhere. Ni kitu uko nayo and it does not die. It does not wane. It does not relent. It does not go off. Activism cannot go off. You cannot switch on a button and off. You cannot run away from activism. Kama iko kwa damu yako inakufuata hadi kwa kaburi. Uliza Okiya Omtata. He has been beaten so many times. I saw an interview of him saying he's been beaten and lost close to 10 teeth. But he is here still doing it. He's been bribed close to 500 million. He is still here doing it. Na akasema no to that bribe. Wacha nikuulize, Kasmuel amepewa pesa ngapi na akina Osoro na ashakimbia kwao? Angekuwa ndio amepewa pesa Omtata amepewa, si angekuwa alienda? Na possibly Morara has not been offered enough or has not been offered what he wants. It is possible if Ruto takes that party office, aingize kwa Kenya Kwanza, ampe tu pesa fulani, ampe tu cabinet slots tuwili tutatu, hata hiyo mambo ya kukua president itaishia hapo.
Now, what's the next thing for the Gen Z? What's the way forward now?
As I was saying, some of these activists amungewahi wajua kama hatungeenda streets because they are inconsistent and they are riding on the popularity and the fame the Gen Z wave has gotten. But you should not forget that there have been activists like myself, like Akina Omtata and so many other genuine activists who've built us up to this moment. Boniface Mwangi may be a sellout. Boniface Mwangi may be as bad as people call him out, but he's been consistent. He's taken people to the streets so many times, even when Kenyans were not willing to demonstrate. It is possible he's become a sellout over the years. As people say it, I do not want to discuss him here, but he's been there for us. He's been there for this country. It is activists who've been consistent like Akina Omtata who's gotten us to this moment. When we build your consistency, na kutuonyesha it can be done. And that is why we are to this moment. And we should not lose this moment as Gen Zs. If we need to be honest with ourselves, we've not achieved anything since June. Your finance bill kuanguka is a temporary relief to us. The government will still bring another finance bill in 2025. I am assuring you of that. And it is possible it will be worse than this one. The government will bring another finance bill. Ni nini ingine you think we have achieved? The dissolution of cabinet. The dissolution of cabinet is a shadow victory. Folks think that we won because the president dissolved cabinet, but then he just reshuffled them. He took Duale from defense to environment, Soipantuya from environment to defense, Mutua from, was it foreign affairs to labor? I mean, what did we achieve? The cabinet was just reshuffled. You wanted a broad-based cabinet. Did you get one? The president brought a bread-based government, but he sanitized it to a broad-based government. What is broad-based about Raila getting into government? Raila was not on the streets in 2024, but he benefited more than the Gen Zs who are on the streets in 2024. The Gen Zs did not get a CS, they thought they would get one. By the way, I am sure Kasmuel wanted to become a cabinet secretary, possibly for youth affairs. I have a friend who is privy to these matters. And Kasmuel is bitter because Ruto did not give him that. And then ODM took him, oya kuja tukupanguze machozi. We know you did not get what you want. Sisi tutakuonyesha mambo vile tutapanga. In fact, ODM has all the motivation to nominate Kasmuel to a certain position in ODM. If he loses a seat, any seat he will vie for in 2027. Because they have already understood he's eloquent and he's intelligent. But then they will manage to dim his shine because they will control him. When you get to their political parties, you are their product. They will claim they have made you, and they will claim allegiance. They would want you to be loyal to them because to them you are their product. You are their brainchild, and that is why he blundered. So coming back to what we have as Gen Zs, we should not lose this. We should persist. We should not relent incessantly till we get what we want, because we've not gotten what we want. What we wanted was better governance. And I'm assuring you Kenyans that better governance will not come with William Ruto. Better governance would never come with Rigathi Gachagua. Even if Rigathi Gachagua becomes president today, he will not be a better president. Better presidency and better governance will not come with the current crop of leaders. It will not come with the current crop of MPs that we have. It will not come with the current senators you have. It will not come with the current cabinet and with the current president you have. We need to take off these guys from power one by one. We need to get off the president from that seat, because he has dealt with the deputy president. I'm speaking this from the perspective and the point of view that Gachagua will be impeached at the Senate and the courts will not save him. So we will have one guy to deal with. So let's deal with Ruto. Let's push him to resign through street protests till the last day. Adia in the home. Bangladesh wamekuja the other day. I don't know if I got that name right. Wamekuja the other day. 2 weeks kwa streets, president wao ashaenda home. Nyinyi mmekuja kwa streets 1 week 2 weeks, kidogo kidogo mmepotea. Boniface Mwangi anawaambia sijui State House is a protected area, JKIA is a protected area. Mimi sijasema watu waende State House ama waende JKIA, but hiyo demoralization na demotivation that comes from some of these guys with a good following imetumess vibaya sana. We did not get what we wanted. We need a different cabinet, we need a different president, we need a different deputy, we need a different set of MPs and a different set of senators. And we cannot wait till 2027. Waiting till 2027 is a losing game, because it is the game politicians want to play. They want to manage you till 2027. Ndio wakuwe na enough money to buy you out in 2027. That is their game. They know how to steal elections, and they have already planned on how they are going to rig themselves into power. So you cannot give Ruto up to 2027. And this was the message I wished Kasmuel was pushing when we were telling him to stop asking for accountability from the government. When we told him stop telling them to do this and that, tell them to go home. Because when we went to the streets, there were two groups. One, Kasmuel enye alikuwa anaongelelea wenye walikuwa wanataka some reforms from government, then us who knew that Ruto will not deliver anything to us, and we wanted him gone, and we've not achieved that. If the president and the deputy president are off the Kenyan scene, then we will have dealt with three problems at once. We would have dealt with a president, his deputy, and the cabinet. Tutakuwa tumebaki na senators na MP. Au kwa recall si mambo ngumu. Na Atiende Amolo should stop selling lies to us that they did not want to impeach Ruto, or there is no motivation to impeach Ruto because we do not have an IBC in place. Yes, I understand the president is supposed to appoint cabinet. He's supposed to appoint the chairperson of the IBC. Let me ask you, Plug, if we did not have a president in this country, you want to tell me that the IBC would not be constituted and the chairperson would not be appointed? You want to tell me that the Supreme Court will not give us direction on that matter? You want to tell me that our courts that have been so outspoken on so many issues, and our courts that are so vocal and jurisprudent, will not be able to advise us on how to proceed with a vacancy in the presidency and in the deputy presidency? You want to tell me that our courts and our judiciary and our legislature will not give us direction? It is dishonest to tell us that you cannot take away Ruto because Ruto has to appoint a chairperson of IEBC. Without a president, this country can still go forward. If we take out Ruto by pushing him to resign, and he has already impeached his deputy, will the country stop? The country will go to the Speaker of the Senate, who is supposed to hold an election for another president. And before that, we'll have to deal with the IBC question. The judiciary would have to give us the way forward on how to constitute that IBC and on how to appoint that chairperson of the IBC, because we cannot have that power vacuum, and we cannot massage Ruto, because he has not appointed an IBC chairperson. What if Ruto waits till 2026?
Since our time is not on our side, ningetaka tu conclude maybe uweze kutuambia how can we get you on social media and all that.
Social media at Twitter is at Wambua James _ Facebook is James Mulamba na James Mulamba Jr. I have 2 accounts on Facebook. On TikTok, James Mulamba Jr. And I'm saying we need to get to the streets. We need to go back to the streets. Hatuku achieve anything. Ruto is still president. The cabinet is still sitting. The rogue MPs are still in power. The rogue senators are still in power. We've not achieved anything substantial. We need to go back to the streets to redeem this country. That should be our message, and we should not listen to naysayers. We should not listen to Akina Boniface Mwangi. We should not listen to Akina Osama Otero and all other traitors. We need to go there and voice our dissent to the bad governance that we have. We need to push Ruto to the periphery and to the wall, and we can get him out.